on Thursday, Sporting announced the signing of Viktor Gyokeres for a club record fee of €20 million plus €4 million in instalments, combining an agent's fee of €2 million. That could take the deal to a potential of €26 million, $10 million more than the previous club record signing. Whilst we don't know how well Viktor will get on, today we will take a look at Sporting's top 10 most expensive signings and see how good they were. I've enabled help from my colleagues at All Things Alvalade, Chris, Richard and Danny, to help me rate these individuals and rate them on a following scale: success, bust or 50-50. This can depend on a lot of different factors: value for money, performance and a future sale. I'm Sam for All Things Alvalade, and here are the top 10 most expensive Sporting signings of all time, ranked. Number 10, Elias, bought from Atletico Madrid for $8.85 million. All four of us gave the transfer a bust. Elias was tipped to be one of the best midfielders in Brazil when he signed for Corinthians in 2008. He helped the club return to the Serie A in his first season, and Ronaldo, yes, R9 Ronaldo, called him the best player in Brazil. And some stellar performances earned him a move to Spanish giants Atletico Madrid for €7 million in 2010. That same season, he also made his national team debut for Brazil and would play 35 times for them. He only made 18 appearances for Atletico Madrid, scoring 4 times, before being deemed not good enough to earn a starting spot, and Sporting swooped in, signing the Brazilian for $8.85 million. And to be fair, things started off great for Elias. On his debut on the 10th of September 2011, Elias scored a goal against Paços de Ferreira in a 3-2 win for Sporting, which at the 76th minute, Sporting were losing by 2. But with goals from Ismailov, Elias and Ricky van Wolfswinkel, Sporting won the game and began a series of consecutive victories in the league, earning Elias the nickname of the Prophet amongst Sporting fans. But the Prophet would not continue his great form, only scoring one more time in a 1-1 draw against Académica, where he also got sent off as well. After Bruno de Carvalho got elected as president in 2013, he got rid of Elias for a cut price €4 million to Corinthians, in which the player's father said, "I'm celebrating the end of prison," when the deal was sealed. Whilst the player himself said, quote, "The president of Sporting didn't want me to play for Flamengo. It seems he had a tantrum with Flamengo. Simple. I really wanted to go back to Flamengo. I think it was a tantrum because the president of Sporting is crazy." What's also funny is that 3 years later, Elias was re-signed by Bruno de Carvalho for $2.5 million. And after 16 games with only 2 goals and 1 assist, he was sold back to Brazil for $2.5 million. Number 9, Marcos Acuna, bought for $9.59 million from Racing Club in Argentina. All 4 of the boys gave this transfer a success. You either love or you hate Marcos Acuna, and for all 4 of us at All Things Alvalade, we seem to love him. A very controversial player on the pitch, his accolades speak for themselves. A World Cup winner, a Copa America winner, a Europa League winner, 2 Taça de Ligas with Sporting and 1 Taça de Portugal. Acuna started his Sporting career at left wing, but towards the end of his tenure, he made most of his appearances at left back and was almost a sure bet to get a yellow card in any given game. Marcos Acuna was a part of some of the best teams under George Jesus, and although many see him as a person to blame for the Alcochete attacks, there is no denying that after Acuna stayed after the events, he always bled green and white, and even made us a small profit on his sale to Sevilla. Acuna made 135 appearances for Sporting, scoring 9 goals and assisting 25, as well as getting 47 yellow cards and 4 red cards. Number 8, Bruno Fernandes, bought from Sampdoria for €9.7 million, and once again, all the boys have rated it a success. As soon as Bruno Fernandes made his debut in a Sporting shirt, it was clear he was destined for big things. He scored 4 goals in his first 5 Portuguese league games, not scoring on his debut versus Aves, but scoring one of the best goals of the season, including getting a brace against Vitória Guimarães. Bruno Fernandes took the league by storm, also scoring on his Champions League debut versus Olympiacos. He finished the season with 16 goals across all competitions, second to only Bas Dost, and provided 20 assists, being named in the Portuguese League Team of the Year and also Portuguese League Player of the Year. After the Alcochete attacks in 2018, Bruno Fernandes stayed, and although there is conflicting reports on if he received a salary increase, it really didn't matter. He was appointed captain and won the fans back with stellar performances on the pitch. He became the highest goal scoring Portuguese midfielder in a single season of all time with 33 goals, and was once again named Portuguese Player of the Year for his second consecutive season. The season after, he scored 7 goals in his first 10 appearances. This made him the third sporting player in the 21st century to score 6 or more consecutive appearances for the club, after Mario Jardel and Bas Dost. On the 29th of January 2020, Manchester United confirmed they reached an agreement with Sporting to sign Bruno Fernandes for €80 million, making Sporting a profit of just over £70 million. In my opinion, this is the best Sporting transfer of all time. In 137 games for the club, Bruno Fernandes scored 63 goals and got 50 assists, as well as winning the Taça Liga twice and the Taça Portugal once. Ruben Vinagre, bought for €10 million from Wolverhampton Wanderers. All four of us rated this signing a bust. From one of the best deals of all time to one of the worst, Ruben Vinagre had a solid loan spurt for Millicao the season before he joined Sporting, and with Nuno Mendes on the way to PSG, Sporting needed a replacement, and it didn't seem that bad of an idea at the time. In his first 2 or 3 games, Vinagre looked solid. Whilst obviously not being as good as Nuno Mendes, he definitely looked like a decent enough replacement. That was until the dreaded game against Ajax in Sporting's group stage Champions League game, where Anthony broke his ankles multiple times and made Vinagre look like a Sunday League player. What's even worse is that Vinagre was actually just a loan deal, with the caveat if Sporting made the round of 16 of the Champions League, they would have to buy Ruben Vinagre for €10 million, with a 50% sell-on fee going to Wolverhampton Wanderers. This seemed like a lack of ambition from the Sporting board, as in November 2021, Sporting beat Borussia Dortmund 3-1 in the Champions League, meaning they'd qualify for the round of 16. This meant the deal was activated, and Ruben Vinagre joined Sporting for €10 million for 50% sell-on fee. He only made 18 appearances that first season for Sporting, with most of them coming off the bench, and after a failed loan to Everton, where he only made 3 appearances, the Portuguese left-backs look set to join Hull City in the Championship on loan for next season. Number 6. Jeremiah St. Just, bought from Mainz for €10 million. Me, Richard and Danny have given it a 50-50, whereas Chris has given it a success. You have to feel sorry for Jeremiah St. Just. There's clearly a great player there, but his injury history makes Sporting fans worry. Whenever St. Just has played, for example against Arsenal, he's been the best defender on the pitch, and definitely an asset to this Sporting team. But, as Ruben Amorim weirdly put it best, quote, "If St. Just didn't have so many injuries, we wouldn't have him at Sporting. We're looking on the positive side." End quote. The Dutch centre-back has already had 5 injuries since signing for Sporting, missing a total of 19 games last season. In my opinion, the reason I gave him a 50-50 was due to his fact of injuries. Like I said, there's a player there, but if he's constantly injured and can't even play 4 games back-to-back in a single season, it makes for a worrying sign. But he has enough reputation and sufficient interest from Ajax and PSV, as well as some interest from Liverpool in the off-season, and Sporting could easily find a buyer for him, perhaps even making a profit on St. Just. The centre-back has played 32 games for Sporting, totaling 1,500 minutes, scoring 1 goal. Number 5. Luciano Vieira, bought from Atletico Madrid for €11 million. Me, Chris and Danny have rated this as a bust, while Richard has given it 50-50. Luciano Vieira was a strange signing. Although the fee says 11 million, it was a part of the compensation that Atletico gave Sporting for Gelson Martins, which was €22 million, meaning Vieira was technically free, but that means Gelson was sold for €11 million. Anyway, I digress. Vieira has the unfortunate timing of being a part of some of the worst Sporting teams in the last 10 years, but his performances didn't help his case either. His first goal came against Millicao in a 2-1 defeat in 2019, and arguably his most memorable moment was when he gave away a penalty in the 190th minute of extra time against Istanbul Başakşehir, knocking Sporting out of the Europa League. Vieira was sold at a loss to Al Hilal in 2020 for €7 million, but he made 3 Sporting League appearances that campaign, including scoring in a 2-2 draw against Porto, which made him eligible for a winner's medal, meaning Luciano Vieira was a Portuguese League champion. In 40 appearances, Vieira scored 9 goals and got 7 assists in all competitions. Number 4. Bas Dost, signed from Wolfsburg for €11.85 million, and each one of us rated this a success. Statistically, Bas Dost is one of the best strikers in Sporting history. His goal scoring record is unmatched, and he dominated the league in terms of goals, scoring more goals in a single season than players like Falcao, Jackson Martinez, Jonas and Darwin Núñez. And in 2017, Bas Dost was the second highest goal scorer in all of Europe, just behind Lionel Messi. That season, the Dutchman scored 34 goals in 30 starts. And whilst at Sporting, Bas Dost would score 45 first touch goals in a row. The Dutchman was a very clinical striker, And although he had a great scoring record, Bas Dost could never achieve the league title with Sporting, but winning 2 Taças de Portugals and 1 Taça de Liga. In 127 appearances for Sporting, Bas Dost scored 93 goals and got 15 assists. And I'm just saying, he's currently a free agent right now. Number 3, Manuel Ugarte, signed from Famalicão for €12.5 million. Again, all 4 of us rated this as a success. Manuel Ugarte might just be one of the best midfielders I've ever seen wear a Sporting shirt. Although selling Paulinho was sad, the replacement in Ugarte was top tier, arguably, if not better, than João Paulinho. Whilst his first season was pretty much him coming off the bench for Matheus Nunes or João Paulinho, in his second season, he flourished, getting the starting role and having a great partnership with Morita in the centre of midfield. And the Uruguayan has been a part of some of the best moments in Sporting history, including beating Arsenal in the Europa League, beating Spurs in the Champions League, and also qualifying for the round of 16 in the Champions League in 2021. Ugarte was a part of all of these moments, and all of us here think Manuel Ugarte was one of the best centre mids in the world last season. He's just a complete phenomenal player, and he was sold to PSG this summer for €60 million, making Sporting a total profit of €47 million. He made 85 appearances for Sporting, scoring 1 goal and getting 3 assists. He also has a Taça de Liga to his name. It will be difficult to find someone to replace Ugarte, but that is a testament to how good he is. We wish him luck at PSG, and this was another great Sporting signing. Number 2, Pedro Gonzalez, signed from Famalicão for €13.5 million. And once again, all of us have rated this signing as a success. Along with Ruben Amorim, Pedro Gonzalez could be seen as one of the faces to the success of this Sporting rebuild. Ever since signing for Sporting in 2020, Pot has been one of the best Sporting players throughout the last 3 seasons. And along with Sebastian Coates, Pedro Gonzalez was probably one of the most influential people in our title-winning season, ending the 19-year drought for Sporting for a league title. He scored 23 goals in 32 games for Sporting that season, whilst also being awarded the Golden Ball for being the top goal scorer in the league, and helping Sporting win the double of the league title and the Taça de Liga, whilst also being named in the Team of the Year and also winning the Young Player of the Year award that season. He wasn't that prolific the season after, but did win a second Taça de Liga and scored to win Sporting the Supertaça against Braga that same season. He scored his first 2 Champions League goals against Besiktas in a 4-0 win, and was also named Man of the Match, and repeated the feat 3 weeks later in a 3-1 win versus Borussia Dortmund, making sure the team qualified to the round of 16 for the first time since 2008-2009 season. In doing so, he became the second Portuguese player after Cristiano Ronaldo to score 2 or more in consecutive Champions League matches. However, due to injuries, Pot declined in his second season, scoring 14 goals in 31 games and providing 7 assists. And this season, despite some poor results from Sporting, Pedro Gonzalez improved, obviously scoring that amazing goal against Arsenal, which saw Sporting advance to the quarter-finals of the Europa League by beating them in a penalty shootout. But during that season, his form was mixed. To be fair, he had to fill in as number 8 when his teammates Ugarte and Morita were sidelined with injury or suspension. This season, Pedro Gonzalez got the number 8 shirt, which previously belonged to Matheus Nunes and Bruno Fernandes. In 129 appearances for Sporting, Pedro Gonzalez has scored 58 goals and got 34 assists, as well as winning the league title, 2 Taça de Ligas and the Supertaça. If you have enjoyed this video, please let me know by subscribing, leaving a like, and even leaving a comment down below. What do you think of Sporting's top 10 signings? Who's the best? Who's the worst? Let us know in the comments down below. Anyway, on to number 1. Number 1, Paulinho. Signed from Braga for €16 million. Me and Chris have marked this as a success. Danny and Richard have marked it as 50-50. I'm just going to get one thing out of the way. As you know, I am very biased to Paulinho, and arguably you should have someone more neutral to be here. But you're stuck with me, unfortunately. However, I can see where Richard and Danny come from. I will be the first to admit, Paulinho is not great. He's not very good, but I do think he's decent and has his moments. I've said it multiple times. He's a good player, but not a great goal scorer. And for €16 million for a striker, you expect a goal scorer, scoring every other game, but Paulinho just isn't that man. But his influence to Sporting is unmatched. When he signed in January, Sporting was still in first place, but Paulinho scored the winning goal that gave Sporting the league title that season, ending a 19-year title drought. That goal alone arguably made Sporting their money back straight away, not from just the league title winning prize money, but also qualifying for the Champions League outright, gets you between 30 and 40 million euros. So in my case, I would say that's well worth the money. And Paulinho is by definition a big game player. He has scored against these opponents: Arsenal, Benfica, Porto, Ajax, Tottenham, Leicester and Besiktas. Paulinho does have mixed opinions throughout the sporting fan base though, almost split 50-50. Some like him, some hate him. And this season it was more evident than ever. Sporting only had Paulinho as a main striker up until January, and this season he only had 5 goals in 22 appearances, as well as 7 assists, which is not good enough for your main striker. But in the Allianz Cup, more formally known as the Taça da Liga, he did score 8 goals, finishing in the competition top scorer, but losing in the final to Porto, where he also got sent off for elbowing Otavio in the face. Since signing for Sporting in January 2021, Paulinho has played 98 games with Sporting, scoring 32 goals and getting 22 assists among all competitions. He is also a league winner, a Taça de Portugal winner and a Super Cup winner. What do you think? Do you like Paulinho? Is he good? Is he bad? Let us know in the comments below. But with the signing of Viktor Gyokeres, Paulinho's game time might be limited. Or, if Ruben Amorim changes formation, they might even form a strike partnership. Do you think Gyokeres will be better than Paulinho? Let us know in the comments down below. I've been Sam Fonseca from All Things Alvalade, and thank you for Danny, Chris and Richard for helping me out with this video, and we shall see you next time.